Mario Kart World is shaking up everything we know about Mario Kart, and with the game releasing in a month, I want to talk about the features that didn't make the cut. With this game in particular, taking a look at certain features and mechanics that Nintendo decided to move on from is super interesting, because while they're not coming out and saying it, Nintendo's actually introducing a lot of new features that are seemingly intended to replace or even improve a lot of the cut features, which I'll point out and compare throughout this video. This lends some really interesting insight into the minds of the developers, explaining what went into their thought process while they're shaping the future of Mario Kart. You gotta crack a few eggs to make an open world omelet, and Nintendo definitely did just that. There are a whole lot of features that were staples of past Mario Kart games that we just haven't seen yet, so I picked out the ones that I think had the most interesting discussion surrounding them to go over in this video. Obviously, the game is not out, so there's a chance that some of these features that seem like they may have been cut might actually not be cut and just haven't been shown and aren't in the demo, so I'll talk about those specifically when we get there. I also want to make it clear that just because I'm saying a feature is cut does not mean I'm saying it's a bad thing that feature was cut. In fact, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm glad that they were cut, either because they're getting replaced with something that could be cooler, or they just weren't that interesting at the start. There's a whole lot of stuff to go over, so let's just jump right into it. Hey guys, I'm Thomas from The Switched Up, and these are some of the features in Mario Kart World that did not make the cut. Now, before we can even get into talking about the races, we have to talk about what you do before you start the race. Well, what you used to do, and that is kart customization. Ever since this 3-columned roulette wheel was introduced in Mario Kart 7, it has been a really big part of the entire Mario Kart brand, obviously appearing in 7, 8, and 8 Deluxe, but also Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, and even the dang Mario movie. However, in Mario Kart World, there are no more gliders, because your karts just shoot out wings from the side, and all the karts have their own wheels, or treads, or skis, I guess. That means all you have to pick is just your kart, like in the olden days, and honestly, I am all here for it. The karts all look really cool, and because the selection process is more streamlined now, I'm really hoping that they lean into more unique stats to fit the varied nature of the karts. Mario Kart 8 customization let you choose different stats, and you can feel that, but it never really impacted how you drive in the same way that a game like Kirby Air Ride's vehicles or Air Rides completely transformed your racing tactics. That sort of severe statistical variety between vehicles is a lot harder to implement and balance with kart parts because there's just more options the developers have to account for, so I'm really hoping they lean into it here in Mario Kart World. I want the karts to actually feel distinct and unique from each other to a degree we haven't even seen before in the Mario Kart franchise. One other reason I like the idea of ditching kart customization is to save time. This is pretty much exclusive to local multiplayer, but that's how I play most of my Mario Kart, and I'd assume that's how most people play the most of their Mario Kart. When you're playing with 4 people, each person having to pick their kart, wheel, and glider, especially if they haven't played the game before, takes a bit of time, but it happens every time, so it adds up. Streamlining it so you only have to pick one kart should in theory fix that, but unfortunately Nintendo decided to lay out all the karts on this Cheesecake Factory style menu where you have to flip between pages to figure out which one you want. This is a bit disappointing because it means it'll likely take just as long, if not longer, to get through the character and kart selection and into the actual race. Speaking of the actual races, Mario Kart 8's main gimmick being anti-gravity is completely cut in Mario Kart World. However, Nintendo, as I alluded to in the intro, has come up with this sort of semi-replacement, which in my opinion, has the potential to be way better than anti-gravity in 8 and 8 Deluxe ever was. I'm talking about wall riding. You can apparently drive on pretty much any wall in this game, and I mean, come on, driving on the walls was like one of the main selling points of anti-gravity. For example, look at this wall here on Toad's Harbor. This is the best example I've found. You can drive on the wall here, but it's an entire separate path. You can't just fluidly hop on the wall, off the wall, like you can in Mario Kart World. The flexibility to choose any wall to drive on and be able to seamlessly switch between the wall and a track adds way more freedom and more player expression into Mario Kart World. And if it's really fluid, could make this game goated. I'm super excited to see how this plays out. It genuinely feels like the next evolution of anti-gravity, but it also works with Mario Kart World's main ethos too. You can't talk about world without talking about, well, the world, the open world. It's literally in the name. Changing anti-gravity to give the players more freedom will work hand in hand with the free roam mode. Again, while the actual anti-gravity from Mario Kart 8 is being cut here, it looks like they're going to be building off of it and adapting it to fit in the open world. However, because traditional anti-gravity is cut, that means these bumpers are gone too, and if you bump into someone while you're wall riding, it doesn't give you a spin like it does in anti-gravity. Also, the super twisty tracks are gone. It doesn't look like we'll be seeing something like this in Mario Kart World. I am fine with that, honestly, but we'll have to see how much it impacts gameplay, because you cannot deny Mario Kart 8 has all-time track design, and a lot of that was because of, ironically enough, the freedom the developers were given when working with the anti-gravity. We'll have to wait and see if 8's anti-gravity getting cut will negatively impact how fun these tracks feel to race on, but as of right now, I'm excited that anti-gravity is cut because its replacement wall riding feels like a way better fit for this game. The next thing that was cut from Mario Kart 8, or specifically 8 Deluxe, were some battle modes. The two main battle modes are back, oh thank god, coin runners, woo! But the 3 modes that 8 Deluxe added all seem to not be here. Bob-omb Blast is annoying to be gone, simply because it's just so easy for them to add. Just let people hold up to 10 Bob-ombs, and then copy and paste the rest of the rules from Balloon Battle, that's all that is. Shine Thief wouldn't really work as is. 23 players trying to kill one poor racer would be brutal, but it could be so sick with the right tweaks, turning it from kill the carrier to capture the flag, so it's annoying to see them not even try to implement that, and Renegade Roundup not being included is an absolute crime. There's zero reason that it shouldn't be in there. I mean, they created this battle mode specifically for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and it was like the common consensus best battle mode in the game. To kill it off after one entry is kind of insane. Speaking of things that were specifically in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, let's talk about custom items, which were added during the Booster Course Pass. It is completely possible that this is in the game, so I'll make this really brief. I just want to say that no mention of it is a little frightening. To be fair, they also haven't mentioned 200cc, and maybe I'm just coping right now, but I feel like there's no universe they get rid of that. But I don't know, I have a slight gut feeling about custom items not returning, especially considering they couldn't give it a sentence mention in the direct when it would have made a lot of people really happy. I don't know, this one we'll have to wait and see, but I really hope it doesn't get cut because it's so nice and adds so much replayability once again for zero effort on Nintendo's end. Before we get to the next feature, do me a favor and check and see if you're subscribed. Most of our viewers apparently aren't subscribed and just watch our content because it gets organically recommended to them, which is cool, but then sometimes videos just don't get recommended out. So if you like the content, hitting the subscribe button or turning on notifications is the best way to help us out and make sure you get to see the videos if you want to see them. Thank you guys, let's get back to it. Alright, now we're moving back from Mario Kart 8 all the way to Mario Kart 7. I guess we started there with kart customization, but that game also introduced the ability to drive underwater. That is completely gone in Mario Kart World. Instead, you drive on top of the water, and this is way better. This is quite literally an improvement to the game, and I just made a video talking about the improvements, so I'm not going to go over it too much here, but underwater driving in Mario Kart has always been slow and boring. Now that you're driving on top of the water, not only can you try and avoid whirlpools, which I think will function like this massive sand sinkhole in dry desert, but the water is reactant. Blue shells can spawn massive waves that you can trick off of. There's already just way more here to do than underwater driving from past games. Gliding is also cut because, well, you don't have a glider anymore, you have 2 wings. So technically you're flying now. Yes, the labeling on this is kind of semantic, but it's a welcome change because it looks like you have a decent amount more movement than Mario Kart 8 and even Mario Kart 7 at points, with characters getting pretty high up and being able to stay in the air for a while. Next, I want to talk about retro tracks. Yes, retro tracks themselves are not cut, but what they did cut were the little indicators above said tracks telling you what console they're from. At first glance, it's like, okay, why would they get rid of this? But it makes complete sense when you realize just how vastly different some of the retro tracks here are. Some of them have completely different theming, some of them have completely different layouts, some of them seem to have both of those things. So at that point, why even reference the original track if it's no longer really based on that track? I'm fine with this being cut, especially because they have little references like this Super Mario Kart inspired sign, which seems to be close by to all the SNES Mario circuits. Alright, the next cut feature I want to talk about are wheelies. This was a move exclusive to bikes and was extremely broken in Mario Kart Wii and then never meaningfully returned. how you feel about wheelies is really just what type of Mario Kart Wii fan were you. A lot of people love them, a lot of people disliked how broken they were, and I'm kind of in the middle. They were absolutely broken, which is fine for Mario Kart Wii, but please don't put something like that in the new Mario Kart Nintendo, I beg. But I liked them because they gave you something to do on straightaways. Well, Nintendo is kind of replacing this with charge jumps. It completely remains to be seen how effective these will be on straightaways. Yes, people have been trying to test this at the Nintendo Switch 2 experience when they get hands-on time, but it'll be a lot easier to see exactly how effective they are once we have our hands on the game itself and can set up specific tests with like direct capture. But at least it is something to do on these straightaways. You can use it to try and hop over bananas or cars. Maybe it'll help you go faster in certain scenarios. It's not by any means a replacement for wheelies, those are definitely cut, but it does take up similar sort of design characteristics, just completely switched up. Okay, this next one is not just a cut feature, it might be a dang funeral. It looks like there are no Miis in this game. They are gone as racers, and they are gone as avatars in the online section, because now you just drive around in free roam. This might be a funeral for the Miis. Nintendo not putting them in the newest Mario Kart, one of their most successful and most casual franchises, kinda signifies the death of the Miis. At least in terms of that casual sphere, which is why Miis were so universally beloved. Everyone knew about them. Nintendo's not really pushing them anymore, and so they seem to be completely absent from the newest Mario Kart game. Yeah, womp womp. I like Miis as much as the next guy, but I think we all kinda saw this coming. I mean, they're getting a new Tomodachi life, but the days of them being like a Nintendo avatar appearing across a bunch of different games seem to be over, and I'm honestly fine with it. I never personally raced as the Mii, well, pretty much ever. The only times I did were when I wanted to use funny costumes like the cow and the dolphin. Wait a second. Yeah, okay, I'm fine that these things are gone. The next mechanic that seems to be way less prevalent and almost entirely cut in the next Mario Kart game is one I'm a little bit disappointed about, but I can understand why it's not here. We really have not seen any tracks that change as you race on them, akin to something like a Grumble Volcano. Before we saw Mario Kart World, this was what I hoped the tracks in the next Mario Kart game were all gonna lean into. Whether it was the tracks themselves just changing or through the use of something like the Wonder Flower, I wanted to see a ton of environmental hazards that changed throughout the course of the race. This seems to be almost entirely gone in Mario Kart World, but again, I can understand why. It's a lot harder to have a giant volcano crumbling beneath you when that takes place in an open world that you can drive around freely at any point in time. It just doesn't really seem as feasible. Yeah, I'm sure it's still technically possible, and they could just have the fallen pieces like reappear either off screen or after a set amount of time using some like Kamek magic, but I can understand why they got rid of it. It would have felt weird in an open world. The next feature I want to talk about is inward drift. This seems to be gone. A lot of the bikes that resemble inside drift bikes from the past all drive the same, that being with outside drift, or as I like to call it, sane person drift, as every other bike and kart in the game. You may have been able to guess this by now, but I'm actually glad this is gone. Personally, I never used it. It felt horrible to me. I never really got it in Mario Kart Wii, and then Mario Kart 8, forget about it. It felt awful. Normally, even if I don't use a feature, I'm not going to be celebrating its removal, because there are definitely people who did like inside drift bikes. But first of all, there's not that many of you anymore. And second of all, and more importantly, I don't want to have to explain to people who aren't turbo nerds like myself that, oh yeah, you probably shouldn't use that bike because, oh, you see that little icon down over on the side? Yeah, you see how it's marginally different from the one above it? That means it's an inside drift bike. Oh, what's inside drift? A worse version of drifting. I've probably had that conversation upwards of 15 times within the last like 5 years. I'm not even joking. Selfishly, I'm glad they got rid of this. The next thing I want to talk about is Mario Kart TV. This was the in-universe TV station from Mario Kart 8 that was basically Nintendo's excuse to buff up the replay system. You can now save and share replays of Mario Kart races, and unfortunately, it looks like that's gone. You can still view replays after your race, and I'd assume that that'll still have most of the options you got in 8, but on the menu, there is no longer a Mario Kart TV option, meaning you likely won't be able to save your highlights or share them within the game itself. We also don't see an option on this menu to save a replay like we did in Mario Kart 8. In my opinion, it's a bummer this is gone. Photo mode is really nice, specifically for me, because I mainly used Mario Kart TV to get screenshots for thumbnails anyway, but like, come on, this was such an underrated feature. There are Mario Kart TV vans in this game, and this feature probably pays for itself with all the organic marketing it nets Nintendo. Of course, it's possible there is somehow a way you can share replays and save them within this game, and we just haven't seen it in like the demo, but they didn't mention it in the direct, and I'm not really holding my breath for it. Last thing I want to talk about is item smuggling. This was a tactic you could use in past games to get a couple really good items in lower places, then bring them up to the front and use them to win the entire race. Nintendo tried to nerf smuggling and bagging in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the final patch, and here it seems to be completely gone because items get automatically trailed behind you. Now, I've seen some people in the comments whenever I mention items are automatically trailed behind you saying that you can turn this off, that this auto use item option in the menu is what does that. That is not the case. You can see in Treehouse and gameplay footage that even when they have auto use item off in the menu, the races they play still have automatically trailing items. This does a lot of things. I wonder if people can steal items by running into them. More importantly though, it just makes smuggling way harder as it's super easy to see what items people have. If I'm in like the middle of the pack, like 9th place, and I see someone holding a bullet bill past me, they are getting triple red shell to the dome. I'm forcing them to use that thing. And I feel like that's how most people are gonna play, which means the days of getting a golden mushroom and bullet bill in first place are probably over. This is also probably a good thing. While it was fun in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for a time, even thinking about attempting this with 24 racers is psychotic enough anyway. With that out of the way, those are the main features I've seen that seem to have been cut from Mario Kart World. As I said in the intro, a lot of these I'm actually glad they were cut, either because I just didn't like them or they're being replaced with something cooler. Some of them though are kind of bummers. The battle modes in Mario Kart TV specifically to me stand out as kind of annoying. Let me know what you guys think though down in the comments section below. Which features did you want them to include that didn't seem to have made the cut? Thank you guys all so much for watching, and if you click the video on screen right now, you'll get to see 10 Mario Switch 1 games that I believe should get new content in Switch 2 editions. We came up with a bunch of new content and campaigns for Mario games, and I think it's pretty interesting, so go check it out if you're interested. Have a good day, guys. Peace.